How has the garden railway fared? We've had some very high winds recently, and one precaution I took was to take all the loose bits off the platform. Some of them were glued down, and stand a piece of rail on top of it. I might find I've lost a few of the smaller detail bits. I've been to Doncaster Model Railway Show and I picked up a model, and I'm just running this round for two purposes. One, just to check that everything's fine, but also it's a very wide model, and I've already had it as far as the platform. It won't go past this bit of the platform. Not a lot of my track is fixed down. This bit of track is fixed down, and it won't come negotiate that because it is really quite a wide locomotive. Some commenters have said it's overscale. I'll say a little bit more about the locomotive later, but basically what I'm doing is looking at the track. 2014, the first boards were laid, and this is one of the first boards that was laid. There's a bad track joint there. I've got two track joints. Look, I've actually put screws in and soldered wire, but still not as good. Very close, it's overhanging. Very close, look at that. In fact, it touched that. Touched it on what stopped it there. Is that dirty track? Very close indeed. But it does just about make its way around. I said something about this loco. It picks up, and although there's two separate bogies, each with a motor, but there are wires connecting the bogies together, so it's picking up on all wheels. So that means it's getting good electrical pickup. And what you'll see here is it's catching the edge of the platform, and at that point it binds and it won't go any further. It's just bound against the edge of the platform. You can't see it as clearly as I can, but the clearances are millimetres. Absolute millimetres. So this is absolutely on the limit of my clearances. So a couple of places where it's stopping. First run of anything post the winter. Let's have a look at that clearance down there. Not a lot, is there? Now, just let me say a little bit about these boards. It kinks a bit. These are just standard fence panels. They're just the right width, as you can see, to give you the clearance if used just straightforward. They were tanalised. They've been painted with some green fence paint just for cosmetic purposes, but they are not showing. Look, that's an infill piece of wood. You can see some mildew type rot on that. These tanalised fence panels, nothing. So they've survived very well, quite robust. What have we got? We've got tanalised fence posts into the ground. Look, there's compost around that one. The ground is very wet, straight into wet ground. If I hold it and shake it, it's actually quite solid. It's not like I've got lots and lots of fence posts. So I'm quite pleased. 4 years, and I don't think there's an awful lot of maintenance to do. Mostly the usual stuff of track continuity. Look, it's just stopped there again. whether that's because it's picked up a leaf or gone over a joint. I don't know. It's gone over a joint there, and I think what you can see is that fish plate there is barely touching the other side of the track, so not surprising that we're not getting the continuity. But overall, there we are. Look, there's a leaf on the line there. It looks as though this has survived the winter, and it has now survived, I'm sure it's 2019. That's 4 winters. It was built in February 2014. So it has survived 4 winters so far, and the ravages of that time. But remember, some of it is younger than that. So the double tracking of this back part was only done a year or so ago. So some of it is newer than the others, but it very quickly weathered in so that you wouldn't know it. And then after the double tracking, the bypass sidings. So there we are, running around the garden and still running 4 years on, or it's 5 years since it was built, 4 winters. It's about being outdoors. Look, this is plastic, and it's got a layer of mildew on it. You can see the condition of the timber. It's still quite wet from the bad weather we've had just recently. This bit is soaking, but the timber does dry out. I've had some problems. This is a steel bridge, so you see corrosion in places on that. I think there's some brass on it. I did have thoughts. This part is drying out as fast as anything. I think that's just because the sun is on it. Not the sun, but air, fresh air. So using tanalised fence timber has proved a good choice for me. I do need to consider, look, as I look down the track there, you can see the kinks in the track, making sure the track is in the right place and pinning it down, and doing a lot more of this rewiring to get power distributed further down the track, so I'm not worrying or reliant on fish plates. See the warping down there? What that means is that this difference in height here is because one timber is twisting that way and that one's twisting in the same direction, and so you get a raised point motor here which catches on some of the other locos as they go past on this track. And the answer to that is either to pack up the track or to try and take the warp out of the timber and twist it back. So there are those things, but that's after 4 years. That's not a lot of movement, I would say. And if I stand back and look at it, the way I've braced it, the timber hasn't distorted too much at all. So go back and look at the building videos, and it seems as though there was just sufficient stiffening and strength putting for most of it. I am quite interested to see that there's good centimetre difference in height here due to warping. So it does happen in some places. That back piece there is one solid piece of, or a couple of pieces of plywood underneath felt. A completely different method of making your track. So there we go. It's not the most detailed and scientific look at it, but if there's any aspects of it that you're interested in, I can always come back and do a bit more video. Obviously this is surviving, it's not cracked up. My cement must have been a reasonable mixture. When I say that though, look, there is a crack there, a bit of a crack there. Oh, that's completely loose, look. So that bit, oh, that bit's loose as well. My finger's in the way. And to some of the little cement screed I put on there is breaking up. I'll have to revisit that. If I walk the track, this bit is solid enough. It's a couple of inches of concrete, that's all. A couple of inches of concrete. It's not the like foundation thickness, and that has survived. This was done nearly 5 years ago now. Oh yes, it was 5 years ago, and that survived quite well.